So, welcome to my Melffy deck profile, and it's the first time I'm doing something like this, so bear with me. So, still sort of just starting videos and stuff, so it might be a bit awkward. And a couple of things to get out of the way. I'm by no means a pro. I wouldn't say I'm a meta player either, and I wouldn't expect like a super strong build because I don't know if it qualifies. I built this on a whim on my own when Rise of the Duelist came out, and I saw Melffys and I just wanted them. And it started off with a playset of each and evolved into what it has. But anyway, let's get started. So, first of all, we have Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, which can basically, I think it's handy for just destroying like like continuous spells or stuff like that. Like quick effects and stuff. You can read its description here. I'm still sort of just started using her, so I don't really know how well she works. But I think it's one of the better Ghost Sisters or Ghost Ogre or whatever hand traps to have. And I don't buy like meta cards for like 50 quid each because it's a bit of a joke. So I try to, make some budget alternatives, and this is definitely one of them. Droll and Lockbird, which I think is self-explanatory. If a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the draw phase, you can send this card from the hand to the graveyard, and for the rest of the turn, cards cannot be added from either player's main deck to the hand, which stalls quite a lot of like plays and stuff at the start. It's not the best, but it's still really decent and a really good hand trap to have. Ash Blossom, because I got this when Mago originally came out, and I mean you can just read that effect for yourself. I mean, you can negate a card that adds from the deck to the hand, special summons from the deck, or sends a card from the deck to the graveyard. And a lot of meta decks and strong decks use cards like that, including this one. So she's really good to have. I'd like to have two, but I've only got one so far. It's like a £12-15 card, so I'm not in a rush to get another one. So I have two other, like a double of two other of the Ghost Sister hand traps, and same rarity, different arts. Again, I've only just started using this one, but she's the best option for what I've got, and is more of a budget option. Otherwise, you'd run like two Ash, two Droll, to Ghost Ogre, or like a playset of Ash, and then these two. But instead, we're doing 1/1/1 and two of her. When a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, quick effect, you can discard this card and negate activation. It's basically like a weaker Ash, I guess you could say. And add cards from the graveyard to the hand, deck or extra deck, special summon monsters from the graveyard, or banish cards from the graveyard. So she's a really, really good alternative to Ash, I think. If you can't get yourself an Ash Blossom. And also do bear with me if my explanations are a bit weird, because again, I'm no meta player, so I might be totally in the wrong here, but I'm giving you the profile of what I play and what I enjoy. Next up, we're running two Valeriforn Mystical Beast of the Forest, and she is a great card. So basically, you can just discard a level like 2 or lower beast monster, and all Melffys like level 2. So she's a really good choice to have in the deck, because once you discard a level 2 or lower beast monster, which Melffys all are, that are in your graveyard, and then put it into your graveyard, you can target a level 2. Well, no, you discard one card, sorry. Totally got that wrong. You discard one card, then you can target level 2 low beast on monster, which all Melffys are. So there you go with like the awkwardness. And then you can summon it in attack position or face down, which is a really, really good way to recycle cards, like another mystical beast that will come up next, which I'll show you now. And you can like get the effect off with like other Melffys, and then it goes to the grave and you can use it from the grave basically, which is this card, which I would say you must run a playset of. It is too good not to. And what it does is that when it's special summoned by the effect of a beast monster, which all the cards in this deck are, obviously bar the spells and traps, you can target one card on the field and destroy that target. And honestly, it is too good to not run a sort of playset of. Yeah, she doesn't negate, just destroys. But imagine your opponent's got a massive 5k beat stick out, and you cannot get over it. This can help you get rid of it, providing they don't negate, which is so good. And then we run one True King Jim the Disaster, which is just sort of a card I found one day that I just decided to run one of, so my deck has like a boss monster, and I quite enjoy this card. I don't think you need to run it, but I enjoy it, so I use it. It's as simple as that. But basically, you can destroy 2 other monsters in your hand and or face up on the field, including earth monsters, and then you can special summon this card once you've done that. And if both the monsters you picked were earth, which again all the monsters in this deck are, bar like a couple, you can pick 3 cards from your opponent's extra deck and banish them, which again, depending what your opponent's extra deck is like, you can, I mean, every deck uses extra monsters, but depending what theirs is like, if they're running 1 singles of cards or 2 of a card or whatever, you can disrupt potential plays they could go into if you get it off. So I think it's worth running 1 off. There is an additional effect which you can reach for yourself, but in this deck the other effect doesn't matter at all. But yeah, it's a great card. I recommend running 1, but you don't have to. Just helps stall or mess up your opponent's plays a little bit. Obviously, if you're a really good player, it's probably not a problem. Then we're running 2 of Tree Otter, which again, it's a very basic card. It's just to add a little bit of attacking power to the deck. If you've not got the extra deck monsters in play and all that. So once per turn, you can target a monster you control, and it gains 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. And you need to have a beast monster on the field to activate and resolve it, and you run 2. And obviously, like I said, bar like this guy and the hand traps, all the cards are beast type, so you can often get that effect off, and it just gives you a, well, you'd normally use it on this, but you could use it on your extra deck monsters or anything you want to, but normally you'd use it on this, give you a 2200 beat stick. It's just a way to get over something in front of you. You don't need to run it, but I think because this deck is basically strictly level 2 except the hand traps and this card, because all these level 2s work really well with Melffys, it's very, very good to run. Sea Koala is basically the same. You need to have a beast monster on the field to activate its effect, but it targets an opponent's monster and puts it to 0 attack. So like, I don't know, when someone's had Eldritch or something out against me after activating all its crazy effects, and I draw this, I can summon it if I'm in a strong enough position to survive what will come after, or if I get this out, I've got other monsters out that can help me or other cards. You summon this, hopefully have another beast to get off its effect. Target that Eldritch, put it to 0, and you can even beat it over with this, because that's obviously 100 attack. So that's probably why they gave it 100 attack. But again, we run 2. It's a great choice. Baby Raccoon Tantan is a really handy card to have. We run 2 of those as well. So when you set it face down, because its effect is a flip effect, you set it face down, you can summon a level 2, 1 or 2 or lower even beast monster from your deck, and you basically can use that to not those. You can use that to get out Kalantosa and destroy a card on the field. It's so handy. It's just another way to bring out that card and destroy a card, just disrupt the board and etc. And we run his counterpart to Baby Raccoon's Punk Poco. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 2 beast monster from your deck in face down defense position, which basically you use this purely to get this out face down if you haven't drawn it or got one in your hand. And I'd say it's recommended to run these, to get these, to then hopefully use its effect to get the rabbit out and destroy a part of the board. Now next we are running a playset of Melffy Fenny, and what Fenny does is you can special summon 1 beast monster from your hand, so that's like no level restriction. So you can use Melffys with a lot of other like beast cards like Ajamas and stuff, but you can special summon 1 from your hand, and again you can go into the rabbit and just disrupt the board. You can bring out other cards, other Melffys, and you can do it when it's either like when an opponent special summons a monster or normal summons a monster, which you can see here, or if this card is targeted for an attack, and you can get that effect off. It's so easy to get off, even if people negate it. You've got many ways to get it out, search it, etc. So it's so essential to run 3. You basically run 3 of every Melffy except from Rabbit. Pony basically is the same when it's targeted or for an attack, or they summon or normal summon or special summon. You activate its effect, it goes back to the hand, just like Fenny will go back to your hand. And you can select a beast monster, which you can see there, level 2 or lower beast monster in your graveyard, and add it back to your hand. So it's basically a really, really important card. You should it should run 3 of there, because it really aids in recovery. So if you've used like all 3 of your rabbits, you can eventually bring them back, special summon them again with like Fenny, and activate their effect again. The Melffys are really, really good for recovery because of this card. It's quite important. I don't often find myself using it as much as the others, but it's so important to play 3 of it, just like the other Melffys I'm going to show you. Good for recovery. Next we run 3 of K, which again, when they normal summon or special summon, which so many decks do, or when it's targeted for attack, you can get its effect off. You return it to the hand. You can target 1 beast monster from your deck and add it to your hand. So this is basically this is the searcher. This is like the recovery. Fenny gets them special summon from your hand if you've already got one out. And then obviously searcher. And then Puppy does what Fenny does, except rather than special summon from your hand, special summon from the deck, straight from the deck, level 2 or lower beast monster. So again, gets the rabbit out, gets whatever beast card you need in the deck out. You must play 3 of these. It's so essential. And the common theme between all 3 of these, by the way, is they all go back to your hand when the effects go off. They all go off. Well, you can choose to make them go off when they've normal summoned or special summoned, and when you end your turn, if you have one in your hand, so let's say you have a pony, a fenny, a catty, and a puppy, you end your turn, all of them have an additional effect where you can special summon all of them in attack or defense mode. It's up to you, but obviously because of the low attack and defense, you just put it in defense mode to save your life points, and then they're on the board ready to go. You don't have to use your normal summon to get them out and to use them. You can just end your turn, activate their effects, put them on the board, and they're ready to go for whatever play you want to run into. And then for trouts, you run 2 of these, which basically it's just for the XCs we run. You can detach any number of them. You can target up to that many cards and return them to the hand. And then they get 500 attack for all the beast monsters you control that are detached by that till the end of the turn. So it gives you a little power boost, but it's mainly just to get cards off the board so you can go into plays easier or go into an attack and be safer with it, etc. It's a really good card if you've got your XCs out. So we only run 2 for that reason, because we don't need 3, just 2. Melffy Hide and Seek. Basically, any time a beast monster would be destroyed by card effect each turn, it's not destroyed. And you can also target 3 beast monsters in your graveyard with different names, and then shuffle them into the deck and draw 1 card as well, and it's continuous. So again, it's a great recovery card. It protects your beast monsters from like getting wiped from the board by effect, at least for a turn, like 1 go. So if it happens again and they target the same one, it'll get destroyed or just whatever, like banished, whatever. But it's still really, really good. And you run 2 just so you have more than 1, basically. And then we run Spiritual Forest, which basically does the same thing. Each time the first based off beast type or beast warrior or plant you control will be destroyed by battle. It's not destroyed. It's basically the same, but by battle. And it doesn't have the draw and extras. It's just simple. It protects your monster from 1 battle, so if they attacked it again, it would just get destroyed. Obedient Schooled, we run 3 of. It's my favourite spell card ever, especially since I've been running Melffys, and since I've been running them to start with. If you control no monsters, you can special summon 3 level 2 or lower beast monsters from, like, beast effect monsters with different names from your deck, but all their effects are negated and they're destroyed during the end phase. And then for the rest of the turn as well, you cannot special summon monsters and beast monsters, which we only use beasts in the extra deck. So basically you'd activate this, you'd get 3 cards on the board. It doesn't matter which you pick because it's situational. So I'd pick probably a raccoon each, the 2 different raccoons and like 1 other. It really is situational. But you get 3 on, and then ideally you'd have an extra in your hand. You get that out, and you could go into like 2 rank 2 XCs monsters and just have a really, really strong board at the start of the game. Or like if you're absolutely pummeled and you've got nothing, you can activate that and give yourself a chance of recovering like the sort of position, the winning position, or not put yourself in such a bad situation. This is basically Monster Reborn. You target 1 Melffy in your graveyard and you special summon it. You can only activate 1 per turn, and it's a quick effect. Basically just a worse Monster Reborn, but because it's a Melffy deck, it's a really good handy to have, and it's not limited to 1. Aya's Rock Sunrise basically is the same thing. You target one, you special summon that target, and then if you do all face-up monsters your opponent controls, loses 200 attack for each beast, plant, and winged beast you currently have in your graveyard until the end of the turn. So not only does it bring back a beast monster, it weakens your opponent's monsters, so it can give you back what you need and help you get over what's in front of you. Obviously, depending on how many is in your graveyard, how many of the attack points it has, etc. Really good card. You could run 3, but I'm going with 2. And then, of course, ever since it came off the ban list, you got to run one of these because it just wipes their back row if they don't negate it. So it's essential to run in pretty much any deck, I think. So I'll run one of that. And then we go on to the extra deck. And we basically run 3 of everything. So 3 Melffy the Forest, which, in short, it's not the one you will use most, because you detach 1 material from the card, and it's 2 level 2 or lower beasts, which most of them are, bar Worm and the hand traps. And then you can add a Melffy card from your deck to your hand, and then if another Melffy monster you control returns to your hand, except during the damage state, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and it cannot attack, and its effects are negated while it's faced up on the field. So it basically is a searcher, and if your opponent's got something like an Eldritch out, again, that's just the first one that comes to mind, it just bricks the Eldritch in a sense. Like, it has its attack power and it can attack, but it can't use its effect. It's still on the board. And you can only use that effect once per turn. So it's really good to run 3 off, but you don't actually use it. Well, I haven't been using it that much. Then we run somewhere. There he is. We run 3 of number 64, which is 2 level 2 beast monsters. You get him out. You activate his effect, detach 1 material, it gets you out a raccoon token, and that raccoon token will copy the highest attack and defense that's on the field, and you can either use it and smash into the highest attack opponent's monster and destroy both, or you can get Tree Otter out, activate its effect, give it an extra 1,000 attack points, get it over, weaken it with Aya's Rock. There's so many other options. It just really helps get over your opponent's monsters in front of you. And one other good effect of it, which is a passive effect, is that while you control another beast monster, this card cannot be just destroyed by battle or card effects. So you'd use Obedience School, get 2 of these guys out, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Depending on the situation, you can have them in defense, and there are ways to get rid of them, but a lot of the time, if you can get this out on your first turn, you're in a really strong position because your opponent can't really do anything. So you must run 3 of this. It's so good. We run 3 of Melffy Mummy. Sorry. You run 3 of Melffy Money, and you, once per turn, you use 2 to make it, so I'll have 2 material, and then once per turn you can actually add material from your hand or face up on the field, and its effect, it adds effects depending on how many you have. So if you have 3, it can't be destroyed by battle. If you have 4, it can't be, you take no life point damage basically, from battles anyway. And then 5, you when this is involved in attack against an attack position monster, you inflict the damage equal to the attack position monster's attack to your opponent. So if you can get 5 materials, or even just 3 or 4, it's good for your defense and it's good for attack, because you can basically use your own opponent's monsters against them. It forces them to put them in defense mode, or you're just in a strong position to get a few life points off. And then we run 2 of Mrs. Radiant, which you need 2 Earth monsters for, which most of them are. And then they all Earth monsters on the field gain 500 attack and defense. All Wind monsters lose 400 attack and defense, which can be handy, but that's not the reason we use her. And then if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 Earth monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So if she is destroyed, it helps with recovery. So when she's destroyed, you get a recovery effect. and I'd say you could run 3, but I run 2 just because, again, I don't find myself using her that much, but she's really handy to have, so I run 2. Then there's the tokens that I use just for the raccoon tokens, because I don't actually have raccoon tokens. And then Joyous Melffys, which is the last Xyz monster, last extra deck monster we use, which you run 3 of. And then 2+ level 2 beast monsters. You can detach a material from this hand and then attack directly. So your opponent's got a really strong monster you can't get past, and you can get 1 out or 2 out, or even 3, depending on what the cotton wool, if you're going into it, is. You can actually just detach a material, go over him 2,000 damage, go over him 2,000 damage, or you can, if you have Tree Otter out, add 1,000 onto it and make it 3,000. So it's really good just to chip away at some life points, and obviously it has 2,000 attack anyway, so it's still quite a strong monster, regardless if it didn't attack directly or not. And then during your opponent's turn, you can target one beast Xyz monster you control, you can return that to the extra deck, and then you can summon special summon level 2 or lower beast monster from your graveyard up to the number of materials that monster had. So you can use that additional effect on itself while it has 2. Bring 2 out from the grave, like the rabbit or any of the others, depending on the situation. But if you pick the rabbit, for example, because when it got sent back it has 2 materials, or if you had Melffy Mommy and it had 5, you can actually bring 5 back from the graveyard, which is super, super, super good. You can bring the rabbits out, and let's say you do have 5 on Melffy Mommy, you pick Melffy Mommy, that's 3 rabbits if they're all in the graveyard, 3 destructions if they don't negate it, and then 2 extra cards. But even if you just target self, you get 2 rabbits out, that's 2 destructions, or you can get Fenny out and get from your hand, or Puppy out and get from your deck. But anyway, as long-winded as it is, because I ramble, that's just how I talk, that is the deck profile. And might have probably glossed over a lot, but that's just because I don't do script, so it's just on a whim and explaining it. So if there's anything I've missed out, effects-wise or combos-wise, comment down below. But that is my Melffy deck. Again, it's not meta, it's just what I've come up with myself, followed no deck lists, and I've added to it over time since last year, and it's become what it is, and it'll probably update again. So yeah, that's my Melffy build for fun, but it is quite strong. I found it quite strong. I have beaten some good players with it, but I'm not the best duelist myself, so I misplay a lot. But anyway, that was it, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for another one.